Hello, this is the Bible in fewer words. We are Carol and Steve Wells. This is episode 130, 2 Samuel, chapters 23 and 24. If you enjoy this podcast and the Skeptics Annotated Bible website, consider supporting us at patreon.com/BFW. And we certainly thank all of our Patreon patrons. Thank you. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Carol.
I think this is the last episode for 2 Samuel.
Yeah, we're done with Samuel, first and second, after this. Yep.
And when you say Samuel, I think David. Why is that?
Because David's the main character in Samuel, I think. I mean, Saul's in there too, but David kind of takes over midway through 1 Samuel, and it's David from there on. And
so why is it called Samuel?
You know, I'm not sure if people speculate or think or claim that it was written by Samuel. But, you know, Samuel was the prophet that started
this whole mess?
The book off.
Okay.
You know, the book starts with Samuel.
Okay.
The birth of Samuel. And then he becomes a prophet, and he ends up selecting Saul, and he ends up selecting David. So Samuel's an important character, especially in 1 Samuel. But, yeah, so okay. I guess that's why.
All right. I get it.
All right.
So should we start?
Sure.
Should we start at the end of 2 Samuel?
I should say, before we go on most of these titles that are given to books in the Bible, they weren't determined by the writer of the book, or the scroll.
Who came up with those names?
Oh, they just kind of happened later on. Like, let's give this a name.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably centuries after the actual book or scroll was written that you end up with a name. And that's true throughout the Bible. It's true with the Gospels, for example. You know, this isn't the Gospel of Matthew. It was a Gospel, and then later on people said, well, who should we attribute this to?
Okay.
Let's say Matthew. Almost all of the books of the Bible are anonymous.
Oh, anonymous.
Yeah. Maybe all. I don't know, but...
That's an interesting thing to think about. Did people not want their name attributed to what they were writing?
Well, there wasn't much writing going on, so I don't know. I don't think there was too much precedent for it. So I think it's hard to say, you know, what the thinking was at the time. Because writing, there were so few scrolls around. But I think it was just somebody's writing stuff, and then most of it's probably lost. A few of them are kept, and then they become, you know, Bible.
Okay, well, we better get started if we're going to get to the end.
Yeah.
Chapter 23. The Tachmonite, chief among the captains, a.k.a. Adino the Eznite. Okay, did I read that with the wrong accent?
I have no idea.
Is that a whole sentence?
Well, what I'm trying to say here is that this guy, the Tachmonite, he was chief among the captains.
Okay.
And he's also called Adino the Eznite.
Okay.
And if I got that right, then that's what I meant to say.
Great. I think you wrote it right. I read it right. It's just weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Now we're going to go through a series here of weirdness.
Okay.
So you got to get used to it.
Like it's the first time.
Yeah, but this is especially weird even for the Bible, because read the next sentence there.
He killed 800 at one time.
Yeah, so that's pretty weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weird and impossible.
Eleazar, the son of Dodo, smote the Philistines until his hand got tired and stuck to the sword.
How does it? I guess they had super glue.
It happens, you know. Yeah, I don't know. He just killed so many that his hand got tired and stuck to the sword. So I guess he had to stop killing people.
Mm-hmm. Once, when David was thirsty, he asked someone to get him some water from the Bethlehem well, which was controlled by the Philistines.
3 of his mighty men broke through the enemy lines, got the water from the well, and brought it back to David. But he refused to drink it and poured it on the ground, saying,
I won't drink this water that I requested. Isn't this the blood of the men who risked their lives?
And that's the end of that story.
Okay. All right, this is kind of weird up until now.
Yeah, it's all weird, isn't it? I mean, David is thirsty. makes these guys, I guess, risk their lives going into the Philistine
enemy territory.
Yeah, enemy territory. Gets some water, brings it back, pours it on the ground. Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, verse 18. Abishai killed 300 men with his spear.
And spears were really heavy back then. I mean, still are probably.
I don't know, but killing 300 guys with a spear, that's worth noting.
Yeah. Benaiah killed 2 lion-like men of Moab, a lion in the snow, and a goodly Egyptian who had a spear in his hand. Okay.
It actually says that he had a spear in his hand, and he took the spear out of his hand and killed him with that spear.
Oh.
But I left some of that out. And one thing I am doing here is I'm leaving out about 30 of the mighty men.
Oh.
I'm just giving you the ones that there's a description of. Some of them are just listed. And I thought, that's not very interesting.
No.
These are the ones that have stories about them.
All right, so then with the lion-like there, that ends with, he was more honorable than the 30 mighty men, but didn't quite make it to the top 3. Oh, that was Benaiah, didn't quite make it to the top 3.
Uh-huh. Okay, chapter 24. Okay, verse 1. God was angry with Israel, and he said to David, go number Israel and Judah.
Another census?
Yeah.
I thought we weren't supposed to have censuses. Oh, no. Censuses are good.
I don't think we've had a problem with censuses until now.
Okay.
We're going to have one now. Because before, he told them in numbers, back in numbers, to count everybody. Leaving Egypt, you wanted to know how many soldiers there were, and they counted everybody.
Oh, that's right. And wasn't there also another thing about who's worth more than who?
Yeah, that's in there. But now, for some reason, God is mad at Israel, and it doesn't say why. The last chapter, we didn't have any indication of that.
Mm-hmm.
We had that little song that David sung, and they hung
You mean
up,
the last episode?
Last episode, yeah. And they had
they hung those guys.
Hung the guys up. God would seem to be happy about that. But for some reason, he's mad at Israel now. So he tells them to go count the number of soldiers you can find in Israel and Judah.
Okay.
So David said to Joab, go number Israel and Judah.
Joab counted 800,000 and 500,000 men who drew the sword from Israel and Judah, respectively. So these are only soldiers. You have to be able to draw a sword.
Right.
Otherwise, you're useless to him.
Yeah, but that's a lot of counting, huh?
Yes,
800,000. Yeah, and record keeping must have been kind of difficult in those days. They didn't do it with an iPad or anything.
No.
Yeah.
A little clicker.
Yeah,
like
maybe they had that. I don't think so. Okay.
So, verse 10. David felt guilty for taking the census that God told him to take. So he said to God, I have sinned greatly. Please forgive me.
Yeah, that's strange, isn't it?
Yes.
God tells him to make a census, and then he feels guilty about doing it. Yeah. And there's no explanation for that in the Bible. I'm kind of giving you everything that's there. God came to the prophet Gad and said, go and say to David, you have 3 choices. Choose one of them, and I'll do it to you.
So this sounds like a bad thing.
I think so. It's not like the one, sometimes genies give you 3 choices, right? 3
wishes.
Wishes. 3 wishes, yeah.
So Gad came to David and said to him, which would you prefer? 7 years of famine, fleeing 3 months before your enemies, or 3 days of pestilence? Okay, well, 2 of them I understand, but what's fleeing 3 months before your enemies?
I think it's being defeated by your enemies for 3 months.
Running away.
Running away, getting killed, that sort of thing.
So David said, I'll leave it up to God, since he's so merciful.
I wonder if he's being sarcastic there.
I know. Sarcasm is invented.
Yeah. So, God sent a pestilence on Israel, which killed 70,000 men. Doesn't say how many children and women, but 70,000 men. Gosh.
Yeah. But luckily it's only 3 days of pestilence.
That's true, yeah.
I'm always the optimist.
We didn't kill so many in 3 days with COVID or anything.
No, we didn't. But just as the angel was stretching out his hand to destroy Jerusalem with God's pestilence, look at that. God repented the evil he had planned to do. And God said, I've killed enough people. Put down your hand. So God changed his mind.
He did. Yeah, he does that. He's not supposed to, but he does.
Uh-huh.
When David saw the angel killing people, he said to God, "I've sinned, but what have these people done? Please stop killing them."
Well, I thought the angel wasn't killing people.
Oh, yeah. I think the angel's involved in this pestilence thing.
Uh-huh. They didn't get the message.
He's spreading the germs, I think.
So Gad came again to David and said, "Build an altar to God."
So David built an altar to God, and God stopped killing people with the plague that he sent.
All right. This is a
Happy
weird
ending.
one. Happy ending.
That's the ending of the whole book of
2
Samuel.
Samuel.
Yeah.
Huh. It doesn't leave a feeling in me that, oh, there's a conclusion, or that's finalized, or...
No, not really.
I guess an altar's being built.
Yeah. And God did stop killing the people, and only 70,000 men died.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably about a couple 100,000 total, I suppose. Yeah, because David had a census that God told him to make.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's something else I just want to say that I shouldn't say.
Okay, go ahead.
And that is that we'll see the census again.
Oh.
Because later we're going to be doing 2 books called Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, which are a retelling of the same stories that we've already had in 1st and 2nd Samuel. And then we're going to get our next books are going to be 1st and 2nd Kings.
Mm-hmm.
It's followed by 1st and 2nd Chronicles. I don't know why those are in there, because they're just a repeat of the stuff that has already been said.
And they're all split up into 2 books.
Yeah, we got the two books things, but the main thing is it's a repeat.
My
the
God.
content is repeated.
So what are you going to do for us?
When the content is repeated in the same way,
Mm-hmm.
I'll omit it. But if there's something that's new that we haven't heard before, and there will be a lot, because it's like a retelling. It's a retelling of the same story, but with a lot of differences.
Oh.
And some of the differences are rather severe and important.
Okay.
One of them will be with this census.
Oh.
But I don't want to spoil it here. But we'll see it again in Chronicles. I can't remember whether it's 1st or 2nd Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do, then
we'll understand.
We'll understand. We should then remember, the earlier telling of the story.
Okay. Hey, we're done with 2 Samuel.
Yeah, on to 1 Kings.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, listeners.